Alrighty, so another week of college football is in the books. Week 4 just got finished. There's one of my pups, one of 6, by the way. Um, so yeah, week 4 done. We had a good slate of games. It was a fantastic Saturday filled with college football. I just kind of wanted to go through a couple, talk about some things I've seen, my thoughts on some of the games and some of the teams. Because there were some good ones, and I have a lot of thoughts. I got a lot written down here. Just kind of want to go through a couple of these scores on some of the games. Let's see here. We had LSU beating Arkansas 34-31. I was expecting LSU to win by a lot more. This was a much closer game than I was expecting. I expected LSU to win. I thought they were going to win by a lot more. Arkansas fought hard. I mean, give it up to Arkansas. Give it up to LSU for winning. But, I mean, Arkansas didn't go away quietly. So a good win there for LSU. A win's a win. Did expect them to win by more. You had Kentucky beating Vanderbilt 45-28. I understand it's Vandy, but I will tell you, Kentucky is 4-0, and they've looked good so far to me this year. I'm excited to see what they can do throughout the rest of the year. There's another one of my dogs. I'm excited to see what they can do through the rest of the year. Obviously, they play Georgia. They play Alabama. I can't wait for that game at the end of the year when they play Alabama and Kentucky. But yeah, so they beat Vandy 45-28. I'm telling you, watch out for Kentucky. They are looking good. Washington beat Cali 59-32. Penn State beat Iowa 31-0. Penn State's looking really good still this year. They shut out Iowa. I understand it's Iowa. Didn't expect a lot from them this year. But, when you shut a team out, it's good. It's very hard to shut a team out. And they put up 31 points. Michigan and Rutgers, 31-7 Michigan. Michigan won. This game was much closer at halftime. Now, they did pull away in the end and, ended up winning by, 24 points. But very slow start to the game. I've noticed that with a lot of other teams. I did talk about that a little in my Georgia preview against UAB. Seems like a lot of teams are getting off to a slow start. But this game was tied 14-7 at halftime. Very weird game in the first half. But Michigan pulled away, had a solid win. So that's good. Let's see here. Auburn at Texas. Texas A&M. Texas won 27-10. Auburn, you suck. Auburn is trash. The game was very boring in the first half. I think going into halftime, it was 6-3 or 14-3. It was 13-3, some ridiculous number. Very boring game in the first half. Texas A&M did slowly pull away. Auburn's got some serious problems on offense. I understand this is year 1 under that new coach out there, Hugh Freeze, but they've got some serious problems. Hugh Freeze is supposed to be this great offensive mind. Offense looks horrible. Could not get anything done. They play Georgia next weekend. I will have a preview and prediction video of that game coming out later this week. You're going to want to watch. You're going to want to watch. Good luck, Auburn, is all I got to say. So, yeah, Texas A&M with another SEC win. And then you had Tennessee playing UTSA. They won 45-14. Who cares? Tennessee, yay for Tennessee winning if you're a Tennessee fan. And then UF, Florida, played Charlotte, and they did win, but the score was 22-7. What happened? You beat Charlotte by 15 points. Florida is in big trouble. They are in big doo-doo. Florida Gators are like Jekyll and Hyde. And they've been like that for a while, but I don't understand how. First off, you start the season off with a loss, with an ass whooping against Utah. They could not get anything going in Utah. Penalties after penalties. They look like trash in that Utah game. Then they come out and beat something called McNeese State. I don't even remember the score. It was a blowout. And then they're back at home hosting Tennessee, and they whooped Tennessee's ass. I mean, they looked good in that game against Tennessee. Now, I will say I'm not even going to say that. Tennessee did what they did. They lost. A lot of self-inflicted wounds. Give the credit to Florida. And then you're like, for a game that you would want, especially as a Florida fan, you would expect to see a lot of like just better improvement as the year goes on, as the season continues, especially against a game like Charlotte. You only put up 22 points and you only win by 15. I don't know. Florida's a weird team, but I will tell you, they're in a lot of fucking trouble. Florida is in a lot of trouble, and I looked at their schedule earlier today. I still see 4 or 5 losses. I mean, with that team, they play still left to play South Carolina. That's not a guaranteed win for them. South Carolina looks tough. They play Georgia. That's an L. LSU. That's an L. I think they play Arkansas. That's not a guaranteed win for them. Arkansas just took LSU to the wire. And they also play Kentucky. I think that's another L. Who else do they play? They play FSU. That's another. That's 5. I can count 5 losses right off the bat. The only game I would give them would maybe be that South Carolina game, but that's not even a give-me game. They could easily lose that game. Florida could easily lose 5 to 6 more games this year. I'm telling you. Florida, you're in some deep trouble. Florida fucking sucks. But I also want to talk about some of these really good games. Obviously, the bigger matchups. Ohio State and Notre Dame. Down to the last. That was a great game. Love watching that game. Down to the last play, Ohio State wins it 17-14. Yeah, 17-14. Say what you want to say. Hard-fought game. Both teams looked equally shitty and equally good. Horrible defensive calling on that last drive by Notre Dame. I've never understood that kind of play calling in situations like that. You have a defense that has worked all game long, that has shut Ohio State down. They haven't been able to do much. They've had to earn every single yard. And then you completely change that on the last drive. You drop everyone back. You're just sitting here saying, don't give up the big play. Don't give up the big play. Yeah, you don't want to give up the big play, but you still got to stop them. And I felt like Ohio State was like, okay, I mean, yeah, you don't give up the big play, but we'll easily take these 15, 20 yards and slowly work our way down the field. I mean, that's exactly what happened. Notre Dame barely brought any pressure. I don't think they brought any pressure at all on that last drive. They had it was just like a shell of a defense. And I can't stand when teams do that. You have something that has been working all game long, and you change it on the last drive, and it cost you. And also, Notre Dame, you only had 10 fucking players on the field for the last 2 plays. That's on y'all. That's just pure stupidity. And I'll tell you another thing about Ohio State, and I can't fucking stand Ryan Day. I cannot stand that coach, Ryan Day. He is a crybaby. He's after the game, he's over here picking on Lou Holtz, who's 90 years old. He's 86 years old. Lou Holtz makes a comment earlier in the week, and he's just, talking shit like everyone does on Pat McAfee's show, which is basically a joke within itself. It's the Pat McAfee show. It's just pure entertainment. And Lou Holtz is out there just trying to get his team fired up, like, let's go Notre Dame. He's talking, and then he talks trash about the Ohio State defense. What does Ryan Day do? What does he come out and do after a hard-fought win on the road? He bitches and cries to the fucking camera in an interview about what Lou Holtz. He says, "Where's Lou Holtz? I want to see where Lou Holtz is. It's Ohio State versus the world." Shut the fuck up, bro. He's still complaining about the no call targeting against the Georgia game last year. He still brings that up. Newsflash, it was not a targeting. And the point is, you still lost, and you're still crying about it, and now you come out here and you win a game, and you still don't even look that impressive in the game, but you get the win, and the first thing you do is you call out an 86-year-old man about comments earlier in the week. Pick on someone your own fucking age, Ryan Day. Like, he's the biggest crybaby I've ever seen. Like, Ohio State fans, like, I'm telling you now, y'all will be better off without crybaby Ryan Day. Just, you got to get rid of him. He has done nothing to improve the team. He hasn't won anything. He's lost, as of right now, he's lost twice to Michigan, 2 times in a row. He's lost to Alabama. He's lost to Georgia. He's lost every big game that he's been in. Yeah, he won the Notre Dame game, but every game that really matters of like actual relevancy when it comes to postseason, he loses. So can't stand him. And Ohio State fans, if I were y'all, I would be waiting for the day for y'all to find somebody else. I'm telling you now. Y'all can keep him for eternity. I don't care, because I don't think he's going to do anything. I don't think he's going to do anything at Ohio State. He hasn't proved. He's been the same. He took a 10 to 11 win team, and he's still a 10, 11 win team. So I don't know what you hired him for. Alabama, Ole Miss. Bama won 24-10. Close in the first half. Alabama slowly pulled away. Kind of expected that. And then as soon as Alabama won, I see posts all over social media. Alabama's back. You beat Ole Miss. I mean, that's a good win, don't get me wrong. But they're acting like they just won the national championship. Bama fans. Like, I don't get it. Let me see you actually beat a top 10 team, and then we can talk about if you're back. Beat LSU. Beat Tennessee. Beat Texas A&M. I don't. Then we'll talk. Don't sit here and struggle against Ole Miss and then say you're back. You've already got one loss, so you ain't got much room for talking. So that's that. FSU and Clemson. Well, no, I'll get to that. I want to talk about. I want to get to FSU and Clemson last. Oregon and Colorado. From the rest of college football world, thank you, Oregon. Thank you. They completely mud-stomped Colorado for 4 full quarters. They skull-drugged them up and down that field, and they made it look easy. They took that thing personally, and they obliterated primetime in Colorado. I'll tell you what, Dan Lanning does not like Coach Prime. That halftime or pregame talk got me fired up. I wanted to go put on some pads and go out there and get my ass whooped. And that halftime when they were up by 30-something points, and he's like, we ain't done yet. We ain't done yet. And then the preseason, before the season started, that talk when he was like, what has Colorado done for this league? Dan Lanning does not like Coach Prime, and I don't blame him. I mean, Deion Sanders is a hell of an athlete. And he's a good motivator, and the spotlight's always on him. But when you get shovel-fed Deion Sanders each and every day, you eventually get to the point where you're like, shut the fuck up about him. I mean, just do one quick thing. Go to ESPN and scroll down just a little ways, and before the Oregon game, the Oregon-Colorado game, I want you to count the post that ESPN put of anything that included Colorado or Deion Sanders. It was almost every other post. Sometimes they would post 4 times in a row. 4 posts in a row with nothing about Colorado and Deion Sanders. It's basically looked like a fan page of the Colorado team. Like, it was frustrating. You got all these other stories going on in college football, and all the media seemed to want to do was talk about this Colorado team that went 1-11 the year before, and a coach in Deion Sanders that, to me, has still yet to prove himself as a head coach at a major university. I mean, he did well at Jackson State, obviously, but, I mean, he hasn't proven himself on the big stage with coaching. Now, athletic-wise, obviously, yes, he's a hell of an athlete. But coaching-wise, head coaching-wise, he's still got to prove it. And so, from the rest of the college football world, thank you, Oregon. Because you saw as soon as Colorado lost, the amount of post that was Colorado went significantly down. I mean, just look at it. You can literally see right before the Oregon-Colorado game, count the post. And then after, count the post and take the average. It's fucking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And also the other big game of the weekend was FSU and Clemson. I told you at halftime that, and in the days before, that if FSU doesn't beat Clemson, when will they? They beat Clemson. They beat Clemson. Finally, FSU, you get over that mental hump. You take down the big bad boogeyman to you that was known as Clemson. Wasn't known as a boogeyman to any other team. Much need a win for that program. I'm happy for FSU. I would love to see a national championship or playoff game of Georgia versus FSU. That would be phenomenal. But for the Clemson fans, y'all are going to be on a downhill spiral. I mean, you got your ass whooped to Duke. Then you played two non-con teams that mean absolutely nothing. And in your first home game that meant something, you shit the bed. And FSU did not play their greatest that game. FSU did not play their greatest game. I would give FSU like a first half a C minus, if not a D. I'd give them a D in that first half. Second half, I'd give them like a B plus, A minus. They look good. But Clemson, and I love to talk shit, and I'll talk shit with anyone. But this is me being for real. Clemson has some serious issues right now and a lot of questions to ask because Dabo Swinney just isn't it anymore. He had his time with Trevor Lawrence and them, but those days are over. This isn't 2015 anymore. He is refusing to adapt to the current times of college football. He doesn't want to use the transfer portal. He's publicly stated out against NIL. He is a dumbass when it comes to recruiting. He expects every recruit to basically be a diehard Clemson fan the day they come out of their mama's cooter. I mean, like, it's ridiculous. His old school-minded self on the ways of almost like a purist of college football is costing him in that program because there is good talent. And obviously a lot of kids want to play for Clemson. It is a prestigious school that has great history. But Dabo is intentionally letting it fall. And there's no other word to use. He's intentionally causing the demise of Clemson by his unwillingness to adapt, to take his personal opinions and personal beliefs, set them aside, and do what's best for the Clemson program. Like, you're not a preacher, okay? You're not these kids' dad. You're not like you're an authority figure. You're the head coach, but his job is to that university, to that program, and to those college athletes. And he is not doing everything he can do. And if he keeps sticking his head in the mud and acting like the transfer portal isn't a thing and keeping the same old mindset, Clemson is going to fall several years behind. Several years. They are going to be in the gutter, and they are going to be where FSU has been for the past, 10 years? I mean, I'm serious. If there's any Clemson fan that watched this, y'all have to start looking at things from a distance. You're too close to the program. You got to start asking some questions. Do you really think that Dabo Swinney, with the way that college football is moving and progressing, with the NIL, the transfer portal, everything, you really think that Dabo Swinney is going to do what he needs to do to bring the program back to the heights? He can't even beat Duke. He got his ass whooped by Duke. He hasn't won anything major in the postseason in 2+ years. I forget when the last time they were in the college football playoff. But it's been a rough few years, and it looks like it's only getting worse. And now Clemson is on track to lose 3+ games in the regular season. I mean, you're potentially looking at a team that could go 9-3, 8-4, and if it completely falls off the tracks, worse. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. And I can't stand him either. Just like with Ryan Day, I cannot stand Dabo Swinney. It's just he preaches that he's better than everybody, that his beliefs and opinions are higher than yours, and that he's right, and that's just the way he's going to run his college football program. And that may be fine if you're running like a small local homeschool or hometown peewee league football team, but not at a major college university. I mean, you're getting paid millions of dollars. He's getting paid millions of dollars a year to get his ass whooped by Duke. To sit there up at the stand and preach about this is God's team. Like, Bubba, shut up. Shut up. We want to see you play football. If we wanted to hear you preach, we'd go attend church service on Sunday. Like, I don't get it. So Clemson is in some deep trouble. Absolutely horrible. I mean, it's just a joke. So I just want to get on here and talk about recap of week 4, teams that I thought looked good. Obviously, Oregon, Kentucky, Texas A&M in the second half, Washington, Penn State, Michigan in the second half, Bama in the second half. So all those teams. So we'll see. Later this week, like I said, I will have a preview and prediction of the games coming up this week, and I'll probably bet against the spread. So I'll tell you my opinions on the spreads and things like that. But on that, over and out.